Welcome to the Wilde Wealth Way. This podcast is powered by the team at Wilde Wealth Management Group, an award-winning financial services firm that provides comprehensive retirement, investment, real estate, insurance, legal, and tax planning services all under one roof. In each episode, professionals from the firm and our trusted partners will delve into topics ranging from retirement and the stock market to tax planning and insurance. We will even assist getting your kids into college and help get it funded. Welcome to the Wilde Wealth Way podcast. My name is Jackie Yoder, CEO of Wilde Wealth, and I am joined today with Janenne Lackey, our CCO of Wilde Wealth. Thank you for joining us today, Janenne.
Absolutely.
We are very happy to have you here. It's been a while. So I just want to go over, Janenne joined Wilde Wealth in 2008, and then prior to working with Wilde Wealth, you worked with some other larger investment firms, and you've earned numerous designations along the way. So can you talk to me a little bit about how you came to Wilde Wealth, how that journey started for you?
Absolutely. So I don't have a degree in finance. I actually have a degree in athletic training, which is what brought us to Arizona. And one thing led to another, and I ended up in the finance industry. I was always good at math and science, and I thought I wanted to go the science route, and ended up the math route. But I'd sometimes look to see, okay, how do they link? And it comes to helping people.
Yeah.
You know, on one side, it was helping them physically and mentally. And the other side, I'm helping them work through everything through a financial plan and get into retirement and all the emotion that goes along with that. So I think the helping piece is the piece that really drives me. But no, I've been in the industry for 21 years now.
I wasn't going to ask. So.
Right. It's been a while. But I absolutely love it. And, you know, who knew it would be my second profession, but it was the right one.
Good. Yeah. And you met Trevor through studying for your CFP?
Yes, we met in class.
Yes. Okay.
We didn't know each other before then. And then we happened to sit close to each other and created a friendship. And here we are.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. And so you kind of touched on, you got your career started as an athletic trainer. And you work primarily with gymnasts, is that correct?
Okay. That was my specialty.
That was your specialty?
In college, it was the collegiate level. And then when we moved out here to Arizona, I went from collegiate to under 10.
Got it.
So, you know, different spectrum.
Yeah.
But yeah, gymnastics apparently was my specialty.
Can I hire you to help my daughter?
No, I'm not a gymnast for sure. I would sit there and watch them and be like, I don't even know how they're doing that stuff.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more too. You're not only, a financial advisor, right? You are our CCO of the company. Kind of talk us through a little bit of that.
So I'm able to wear two hats because of that. So we've got advisors obviously at our firm, and there's always that layer of compliance that is needed. So that kind of, it feeds one side of my brain to be able to provide that for our office and our staff and our clients and our advisors. But the other side of my brain is the financial planning side. So I like to be able to have the combination of the two. And if you ask my husband, I'm probably a workaholic. Yeah. So, it gives
I had
me
no idea
to
getting
do.
emails at 3 a.m. I had no clue. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But Janenne she truly keeps us together here. She's the glue of the company for sure. And she smacks our hands when we're doing something we shouldn't do and just keeps us so compliant. And we are extremely thankful for that. So, and you do both roles perfectly. So we don't want to lose that. So you can never leave us. And so I kind of wanted to ask you first off, what is your, when you sit down with a client, do you have a certain process that you follow through? Do you start with, estate planning, budgeting? What does that process look like for you?
So traditionally when I sit in front of a client, we'll start wherever they want to start. If there's a hot topic they need to get out and it might be, we're stressed about retirement, that's where we start. If it's someone that just came to me and, something that happened with a parent or something, it might be estate planning that we start with. So my conversation starts very differently with everybody. It just kind of depends on what their trigger points are, the most important thing they need to get out. But what they all have in common is we're still going to talk about the main pieces of a financial plan, which is going to be retirement, other investments, right? Other goals that they might have, debt, taxes, insurance, estate planning. So all of those pieces are part of that conversation, part of that financial plan, but the order that we talk throughout our meeting differs depending on the client.
On the client, yeah. Can you kind of talk through a little bit about just the importance of obviously budgeting and kind of what that looks like in those conversations with your clients and how you kind of back into that, I guess you would say.
So if they're a new prospect coming in, I actually send them a checklist of things to bring, and one of them is a budget. If they don't have a budget, I send them, I think it's a 6-page budget for them to fill out, because I think it's really important, no matter how much or how little you make, you have a budget. You know what the hardcore expenses are, like the fixed expenses, the things that have to be paid, and then the extra vacations, going out to dinner, things like most people didn't spend the last 12 months. Those are the extras. And then, so there's your full expense. And then you bring in the income. And the reason a budget's important, just one, to make sure you don't overspend. But when we're setting goals that might require deposits and, ongoing income flow to that goal, if we know where your income is and your expenses are, we know the cash flow, what's left, right? And if your goal needs to put away $3,000 extra a month and you have 300, then it's a different conversation, right? So being knowledgeable of where you are, how much you spend, how much you make is sometimes eye-opening, but super important for everybody.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes that's the hardest part for people. It's almost like they're scared, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. I mean, in general, the average person is scared to talk to a financial advisor. I think sometimes they think we're going to judge. We've seen everybody across the board and we don't judge.
Right.
And I think most people after their first meeting understand that, but it's just the anxiety of something new, and you're about to share your life with someone that's not part of the family.
Right.
You know, and I always tell them, I'm going to know more about you than anybody besides probably your partner and your spouse. And that's okay. It'll just be me. I won't be telling anybody else. But it is a little anxious. I understand that.
Yeah. No, I know. I understand that completely. Can you kind of talk through a little bit too about your conversations regarding emergency funds and even kind of what you recommend, I guess, to certain clients? I'm sure that probably looks maybe a little different for everyone as well.
That's true. So an emergency fund is basically cash sitting in the savings account. It's not pretty. It's not going to earn a lot of interest. It's just literally sitting there for emergency purposes. The AC went down in July in Arizona. You need an AC unit. Something happened and you need to meet the deductible with the health insurance. Those are pieces, or you unfortunately lose your job and you have to pay the bills. And that's where it comes in to say, okay, what's the baseline you should have? I like to see a minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
I really like 6.
6, yeah.
And then
I feel like the 6 is a sweet spot.
I agree.
Yeah.
But then there's also the comfort zone. So some clients, their comfort zone is a year. They're like, you know what? We know we won't be unemployed for a year, but I sleep better. And as long as that choice is not harming other financial goals, okay, great. If that's your comfort zone, let's keep it, because everything else is being accomplished. So I say minimum 3. 6 I'm happy with. Anything more is a comfort zone, and each their own. Right. And that's kind of where one financial plan doesn't fit everyone. Every single financial plan is different. And it can change. As life changes, your financial plan should change with life.
Yeah, I agree with that. Kind of talk through too your conversations. Obviously, you were talking through the emergency fund and how different that is for everybody. What about risk tolerance?
Risk tolerance is an interesting creature.
Yep.
It's one of those. as the market moves, your risk tolerance technically shouldn't, but we all know emotionally it does.
Yeah.
So it is always important to remember risk equals reward, but you don't want to chase reward and be too risky. And if you have no idea on a scale of 1 to 10 where you fit risk-wise, surprisingly, we have a little survey you can take that helps us define what your risk score is and how it can affect your portfolio. So if you have no idea, that's fine. We can help you figure that out. And most of the time we can, during a conversation, we can probably read exactly where you're going to go. But yeah, having this other piece is definitely helpful.
Yeah. And I think a year ago when COVID hit, I think that we really saw the effects of people's risk tolerance changing, right?
Right. And I think that's the step of making sure your emotion stays out of the picture. We're all human. We all have emotions. Trust me.
Yep.
But it's hard to step out of the emotional window and make the logical decision. And that's sometimes where simply we come into play. Though we're emotional about our clients' money and our own money and everyone's investments, we have the ability to step away a little bit from the emotional side, side piece.
Yeah, I agree with that. Estate planning. How do you incorporate those conversations into your meetings with clients?
So it's the first question. Do you have any documents? You have any estate planning documents? A lot of times the answer is no, and sometimes people are embarrassed. You know what? At one point in time, all of us didn't have any. So there's always a place to start. There's always homework to do.
Right.
And whether it's just we need a basic will, power of attorney, or we need a trust for the estate, it's one of those, right? You can get as simple or as basic, or basic or as advanced as you need to be with estate planning. But everyone should at least have the basics,
right?
Especially if you have children, right? Because you want to make sure those guardians for those kids are your choice. But no, it's just talking it through. Well, we need to get something in place, and like a financial plan can change, estate planning documents can change as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing to kind of go back with COVID too is even that. Just the importance of having that medical power of attorney.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've seen a lot of people go into the hospital, medical power of attorney, financial power of attorney. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need those documents when you don't think you do.
Right.
So have them done in advance.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So tell us why people should watch this webinar.
So I think financial planning in general, a lot of people have an idea what it is, but until you experience, and honestly, I like things being written down, whether it's a very simple financial plan or a very advanced, complicated plan. If things are in writing, it helps visualize those goals. It'd be like, oh, we met that goal. Great. Let's get that marked off.
Right.
I think having it there versus, well, I want to retire, but I don't know if I can. Sometimes when you truly put it down on paper, you're like, boy, you can retire early. Right. I mean, those are lovely conversations to be able to have. But until you actually take it from your mind and put it down, sometimes it's just truly scary. The unknown is scary.
Yep.
And that's where, once again, whether it's a simple, basic, or an advanced plan, everybody needs one.
Yeah. We wanted to say thank you for joining us again on our Wilde Wealth Way podcast. And Janine, thank you once again for being on.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for joining the Wilde Wealth Way. If you would like to meet with one of our trusted advisors, please go to www.wildewealth.com or call our office at 480-361-6203. You can find our show notes from today's show at www.wildewealth.com/podcast.